Chapter 2. 3 blocks. 1 wire. There is a town called Boardman in eastern Oregon on the south bank of the Columbia River, population about 3,500. The closest larger town, Hermiston, is 23 miles southeast. The closest city, Portland, is 170 miles west. Boardman has a high school, a Walmart, 2 grain elevators, 3 churches, a small marina, and, as of 2025, somewhere between 5 and 7 hyperscale data center campuses, depending on how you count phases. The data centers belong to Amazon, Google, Meta, Vantage, Sabi, and a handful of smaller providers. The data centers consume, in aggregate, more electricity than the city of Salem. Salem is the state capital of Oregon. The data centers do not pay City of Boardman wages because they are exempt under state enterprise zone law. They do pay something. The local high school renovation last year was paid for in part by the data centers. In the summer of 2024, the Columbia River Basin had a drought. The Bonneville Power Administration, which has run the regional hydropower grid since 1937, was forced to ration. Residential customers came first. Agricultural irrigators came next. Industrial customers came after that. Data centers, in the legal classification, were industrial customers. The data centers got less power than they had been receiving. The data center operators went to the BPA and the state regulators and the courts. They argued that the data centers were too important to be deprioritized. They argued, in effect, that the wire belonged to them. They lost. The wire did not, that summer, belong to them. But they will be back. I want to take you on a tour of the planet, because the planet is about to be reorganized around a single piece of copper. The piece of copper is the wire that runs from a power station to a data center. It is not a glamorous wire. It does not feature on currency. It does not have a monument. By 2030, the question of who has enough of it, and the chips at the other end, will replace in geopolitics the questions that the Cold War was about, and the questions that the post-Cold War was about, and the questions that the Iraq wars were about. There are 3 blocks that matter. The first block is the United States, plus Canada, the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Israel, and Australia. Call it the West. The second block is China. The third block is everyone else. The West, in 2026, is the block that has all the leading frontier AI labs. China is the block that has decided, at the level of national strategy, that artificial intelligence is the central technology of the next century and is putting state resources behind that decision in a way the West has not yet matched. The third block, the rest of the world, is where most of the planet's people live, where most of the planet's farmland is, and where, as of this paragraph, almost none of the data centers and almost none of the chips and almost none of the model weights are. This is going to be the defining inequality of the century. In Goldman Sachs's 2024 projection, global data center power demand will increase 165% between now and 2030. By 2030, data centers will consume 945 terawatt-hours per year, more than the total annual electricity consumption of Germany. The RAND Corporation, in a 2025 study, looked at 13 U.S. grid regions and concluded that 7 of them will not have enough power to meet projected data center demand by 2030. The shortfall will be made up by some combination of building new natural gas plants, restarting old nuclear plants, building new nuclear plants, building solar to scale we have not yet built it, and rationing. In September of 2024, Microsoft signed a power purchase agreement with Constellation Energy to restart 3 Mile Island Unit 1. 3 Mile Island, the reactor that had been shut down since 2019 on the same site as the one that melted down in 1979. The reactor will resume operation in 2028 and will sell its entire output to Microsoft. I will let that one breathe for a moment. In Loudoun County, Virginia, 18% of the land area today is data center. If you drive Highway 28 at night, the data centers stretch in unbroken industrial blocks for miles, lit by sodium vapor lamps the color of an autopsy. This is what cognition looks like when you build it out of metal. The Avalanche needs power. The Avalanche needs more than the wire was built to carry. We're going to find out, one country at a time, whether the wire bends or breaks.